and welcome. I'm Julie Pankey. Happy Monday. And we're excited to welcome Bob Baxter, one of our good friends from the Wellness Factor, where we're going to talk about EFT, which I don't know about for you, but for me was totally new and foreign when I met Bob several years ago. It's been a while now. And we're really excited to bring this to you, especially now. We like to try to bring you here at the Spa Hive resources that you can use to help build your business, as well as resources you can use to take care of you. So we've been alternating every other week with doing some self-care as well as practical business tips. So a few housekeeping things to let you know. At the very bottom of your screen, you'll see a chat button. If you have any questions, want to make any comments, go ahead, put your questions in the chat. We'll also be saving time at the very end for you to chat as well, if you have any questions for Bob. Also, at the very top right of your screen, you'll see the different views, so that you should be able to view it in different views, speaker view and gallery view. Since today is going to be just myself and Bob, we're going to pin the video on speaker view. So when I'm speaking, you'll see me. And when Bob is speaking, you'll see him. And then if we're both speaking to each other, you'll be able to see both of us. So Bob, welcome. I think that covers right now all of my housekeeping. Tell us, Bob, a little bit about you and EFT and all of your life experiences. Welcome and thank you for coming into the Spa Hive to bring this resource to all of our community.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Julie. And thank you all for coming and taking your time out of this busy day while everybody's sitting around at home. Is everybody out of their pajamas yet? You got into your afternoon pajamas, or are you in your morning bed pajamas still? Anyway, I'm Bob Baxter, and my company is the Wellness Factor, and my other company is Helios Health Products. And I'll talk a little bit about both of those. Julie, thanks very much. I've known Julie for many years. I've been to many of the spa hives, which is a grouping of a lot of the spas around the country, and get together and have a great forum and get a lot of things done in a mastermind kind of arrangement. And then I also have my products, Helios Health Products, where I'm able to show some of those at her gathering. So, but a little bit about me is that I started with, my career in, when I got out of college as an electrical engineer. I was into aerospace sales as a sales engineer, sales of aerospace component parts. And then I got into the mining industry and into telecom and also cable TV and power and utilities. So I went around all over the country and saw construction people and engineers and things like that, and worked on developing and building the outside products for cable TV. I built all the systems in the country or this continent. I also did some in the South America. And in all those travels over 30 so years, I was also studying alternative therapies. And at the time, we were working with migraines. Why do we have migraines? What causes that, and how can we alleviate that? So I started working on everything I could to find out about migraines, backaches, body dysfunctions, and how do we fix those naturally? I knew there had to be a way. I was really blessed with being able to discover what's called Jin Shin Jitsu, which is the oldest recorded healing art in the world. It was back well over 4,000 years ago when Jin Shin was brought into view. People used it, and they used it as their hands touching points And this is when I found it. We were working with the migraine issues. And I saw this woman at a holistic fair. And this is probably back in 1990. And we started looking at that, and she's sitting with someone just holding 2 points and just with her hands like this, not pressure, nothing, just hands resting on some points. And we said, okay, what's that? And so we had a little treatment, a little mini treatment, said that was interesting. Then we went and had a treatment done at a lady's house in Connecticut. And she had studied Jin Shin Jitsu. She was an early practitioner. And we went and had a treatment, and I didn't think I really needed much done. What do I need to look at my life about? I'm just me. And so I got this treatment, and when I got up off the table and then went outside, I was like, oh my God, the birds were flying in slow motion, the colors were vivid and bright, and I'm like, I got to know how to get some more of this. So being a child of the 60s, I'm off and running. And so that led into the study and practice and teaching of Jin Shin for almost 30 years now. And learned to become, it's quite involved, but yet it's quite simple. And I'll show you a little bit about that. But Jin Shin is where I got my original training and understanding of meridians. And this is what EFT is all about. It's all about, and we'll go take a look at the brochure here in a second. I don't know if y'all have it up on your another screen that you can look at, but I'll show it too so we can look at it together. But it led me into,
it's a resource that everyone here, you should have had in your reminder email for today. Should have been attached so that you can reference what he's going to be showing, and Meridian will post it in the chat as well. So you don't need to follow along if you don't want to, but we did send you some resources.
So you all should be seeing on the screen, this is one of my other classes. Now in the Wellness Factor, and I didn't jump into my other products and stuff like that, going with the flow. In my other classes, on the Wellness Factor, there are 3 classes that I found with these techniques to be the most powerful ways to help to work with our body and our mind to have a healthier outcome, to live a better life, to not let age bring us down like it does. And what I found was that there's these things called meridians. Well, as you've seen in the Chinese graphics of meridians, there's all these lines flowing through the body. And there's the liver and the gallbladder, the stomach and the spleen, and all of these kinds of different types of the 5 organ sets. And the 5 organ sets, stomach and spleen, kidney and bladder, liver and gallbladder, lung and large intestine, and heart and small intestine. Yeah, they're organs, but what flows through them is what's more important. What blocks them is the issue. And that's what we want to talk about. Because we're all in it right in this moment. There's energy flowing through our bodies, and it has certain flavors. Anyway, so these 26 points in Jin Shin, you don't need thousands of points like you do with needles and when you're hitting all the points, and the acupuncturist puts them all over the body. Those open gates and helps. The key word is flow, to continue. So flow is about energy flowing easily and effortlessly. When it doesn't flow, that's where you have disharmony or dysfunction or disruption in the energy pattern in the body and mind. So with Jin Shin, there's 26 points, and you see them on the screen. And they all have an esoteric meaning. They all mean something. So they're all stories of our lives. They're 26 stories. Actually, they're 26 rooms in a 5-floor mansion that we have as our body mind, which is the certain depths of the flow, the first depth, second depth, third depth, which I'll talk about in the Jin Shin class. So back on Wellness Factor is that you can learn when you sign up for the free Jinshin class or Jinshin AccuTouch. I'll teach you so much in an hour, and a main treatment for the chakras, and it's just simply holding your hands in points and moving your hands and opening up. Very powerful. And then I'll also teach about what I found quantum stretch is how to stretch your tissue and the fascia in your body simply sitting in the chair, simply by holding your hands out. If I can get this one up like this little screen and make a right angle with my hand and then stretch it back and pull on the fascia and hold it. And so I'll teach about how to open the fascia, open the tight parts in the body, get rid of pain, and work with yourself on even on a maintenance level. And you'll be able to see that free class too. And I recommend that you just go ahead and sign out and get the free PDFs on each of these classes so that you can learn a little bit about that. And then if you're interested, come take the class. And then after each of these, I will have a 3-hour segment class, 3 different segments like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that, where I will teach more depth of each of these techniques.
Great. Well, Meridian, we'll put in the chat the web address for Wellness Factor. So that, after this session, if you want to go onto Bob's website, the Wellness Factor, he has a lot of really great free resources. So we can do that so everyone will have it handy.
And I also have a lot of great products that I found that I sell through the Wellness Factor. Some are on the Helios products, but some like this bracelet that I have on as this, I call it the biofield bracelet, which sets up a frequency generator that goes through your body, and it helps to help the blood to flow, and it protects our body against EMF and websites and cell phone and Wi-Fi. Anyway, back to the Jinshin chart. You got the 20 points. So energy flows through the body, arms, legs, head, up and down, around, and it's going like that all the time. In the back of the head, 144,000 functions going every just second, faster than that regulate the whole body. And that's the subconscious, which is getting me, I'm talking while I'm digesting, while I'm moving my hand, and all of those functions, and that function works at about 4 billion bits per second. So anyway, dovetail over to, this is like say the lung and large intestine flow. And when we get blocked with when we feel asthma or heavy mucus production, when we're shocked, when we're grieving, when we feel rejection, when we have negative attitudes, we're living in the past, emotional imbalances, it causes the symptoms that you'll see down here with allergies, breathing, respiratory, chilly back and shoulders chilly, throat tension. All of these symptoms are part of a blocked flow. And so what we want to do is open the flow. Well, that's what EFT does. It does it brilliantly, it does it quickly, and all you got to do is tap. We'll go into that. So what you also can see is that here's a picture of, say, the lung flow and how it flows through the body with the points, in point. So, and then you're looking at the large intestine flow. Notice the point 21 is one of the tapping points. Okay, so, and 22, one of the tapping points. So as we look at the different flows, here's the stomach and the spleen. I just want you to get an idea of the different pathways of each of the meridians. So let's go to the chart here, just a second while I get my screen shifted. Okay, so this is the handout. I think you all might have this. If you don't have it up in front, here it is. And this is the free class. What we're going to do is we're going to go through energy accessing the body. How can we do that? How do we stimulate it? what is it about frequencies that we're finding in the body, and what basic words that indicate all of that. And so you'll see the points, and you'll see here's the charts of the Chinese 5 elements and the tapping points. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into, sorry about that double thing there, and then we're going to go into a protocol. So Julie and I are going to do a little tapping situation segment for you, so you can see how that works. So
yeah, I'm really excited. I know everybody's probably excited because I want to see how all this correlates with how you make me feel better.
And the thing is, it makes you feel better almost in the moment, and certainly within the first 10 minutes. But the understanding, it's always good to have some understanding, some intellectual knowledge, as that starts to wire certain circuitry in your brain so that you start to have that. And as you're looking at the girl's face there, you're seeing all the points on her face, which correlate to the points with the EFT. So you'll see the different points that you tap on, right? So it gives you an idea that each one of these are connected to the meridian. So when you're tapping, you're sending a charge of light through the meridian. Okay. So for example, if you're looking on the outside of the eye and you see this is number 6, and that is the gallbladder meridian. Anybody got any wrinkles on the outsides of their eyes right here? Well, what is that? That shows up in the face, it shows up in the body. When we have a blocked gallbladder flow, and the gallbladder and the liver work together, when we have that flow blocked through, what blocks the gallbladder and the liver energy is anger, frustration, and the common denominator is powerlessness. So anything you see today, anything you heard on the news, anything that you're feeling, thinking, or whatever, if it has any idea or any link to frustration, or I'm so pissed off, or God, I don't have any power, I feel powerless, I'm in a situation, what do I do? I was in a very difficult situation just yesterday, or it was a domestic violence situation. And I don't know if anybody, when you get into a trauma situation like that and you're powerless, what do? You're angry, you're frustrated, and you don't know what to do. All that builds up in your body. So right after I got out of there, and after talking to the police and all that stuff, even before, I'm tapping, and I'm just tapping, and just tapping on these points, and tapping on the points. I'm just breathing hard. I'm going, oh my God, this is insane. But I'm tapping. So it gives me a technique that I can do. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to say certain words. I don't have to do anything. And that's where I'm going to get into my latest, which I've had to do all the time, is power tapping. In 1 minute or 52 seconds, you can tap all the points and get your energy back into a line. You may need to do it again if you have a really intense situation. You may have to do it a 3rd time or a little later. But what it does, and I'll explain what it does, is it drops you into the zone, sends calming signals to the amygdala, calms the body down, stops the production of cortisol and adrenaline, says everything's okay. We don't have to fight. We don't have to run. And those are the signals we're sending to the subconscious simply by tapping. So when we're tapping, and I call this the energy access, is that it's better for me to be on a larger screen. I'll stick on this one. It's such a little screen right here. I don't know what size your screen is, but mine's just this little screen up front top. But
I think it's because you're sharing your screen right now.
Yeah, you might have a bigger screen.
So we see a bigger screen of your screen share rather than of you.
Okay. So the energy access, and the reason it took me a while to discover this. Remember, I've been doing tapping for 15 years. I studied with, when Gary Craig first came out with tapping, back in the 90s, early 90s. And I had all the 8-track cassette tapes, you know, to view this. I don't think we had the computer at that time. And but we had the computer analogies. But what I found over a period of time, and I learned this recently from Bruce Lipton, some of my greatest, wonderful teachers, and I knew Bruce when he was coming out with his biology of beliefs. And because we were all meeting with a group called the SethNet International. I don't know if anybody's ever read any of the Jane Roberts Seth material. That's a good one to get some real basics on. She was channeling quantum physics in the 60s and still holds true today. But it's about how we create our own reality through our beliefs about reality. But our beliefs are so intrinsic, we don't even recognize them as beliefs. We just think they're reality, when in fact, it's an illusion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this is a digitized form. Is this really me on the screen? Or is this just me on that screen? And you're getting my vibe coming across the screen? That's what you get, right? You can hear it, you can feel it in your body. So when we access energy through breath. We can access it through different breathing techniques, through yoga. We're accessing energy and flow. When you stretch, you're stretching meridians. You're moving meridians. Not only are you moving tissue, but you're getting meridians to open and flow, and the tissue opens and flows. So the we're accessing is easily done, never been easier, than tapping on a point. So as I hit this point here with my finger, and you can use one finger, 2 fingers, however you want to do this, and we'll go through the points here in a minute so you'll get the idea. But each time I hit here, it's like a piezoelectric on your barbecue grill. When you push the button, it shoots a spark, which ignites the grill. Same thing as you're doing here. Every tap you're doing, it's like a shock. And what is that shock? It's light, right? It's a shock, it's a friction, it's light. It has a frequency. It's a very high frequency. So when you do this, you're sending that light frequency and that shock through the meridian that you're tapping on. When it comes up upon an obstruction or a disharmony or crossed wires, you know, our fear and our anxieties or whatever are crossed wires to the high five, which I'll get into in a minute, is that it causes a disharmony in the body, which then causes a disharmony, which causes a symptom. So the symptom is then like a runny nose or breathing or something to do with those functions of the meridians, right? So that's a little bit about the energy axis. Darken to light. Now that's really key because there's a lot of darkness around us. There's a lot of dark thoughts that we all have. Where'd that thought come from? Who possessed me? Usually it's your mother or your father. Anyway, we'll get into that later too. It's as we grow up, our environment.
Right.
And we all have it. There's no escape. You can go sit in one of the stories I remember. The monk comes to his master and he says, "Master, I want to get enlightenment." And the master says, "Okay, so I want you to go sit in a cave for a year and recapitulate your life and go through it all and then meditate and you'll come to enlightenment." And monk comes back a year after and he goes, "I got it. This is the greatest. I'm in nirvana. I've found the space. It's beautiful." And then the master says, "Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to go live in the city for a year." So the monk goes into the city and somebody pushes him and shoves him and calls him an asshole. Somebody does something to him. He's like getting frustrated. He's angry. He's hurt. He's dejected. He finds betrayal. He's like, what is this? This is nothing like nirvana. Well, the land of duality, right? So here we are in it. And here's a technique to get out of it and back into harmony. We're spending so much of our time in this world these days in a flight or fight mode. Horns are honking, police are saying this, the news is saying that. Everything's coming at us, and it causes us to have certain feelings. And those feelings are either supportive feelings or they're not supportive feelings. And so when we feel it in our body, that's when it causes disharmony if it's unsupportive feelings. So looking down a little lower here is we are what I call the high five naturally. Now, what I mean by the high five is this chart here. The high five is who we really are. These are the 5 organ meridian sets, remember? So stomach and spleen. It's about trust and faith. That's what's flowing through the stomach and the spleen meridian. It's not just a stomach, but if we're trusting, then our stomach's going to feel good. If we're gentle, kidney and bladder, the water's calm, it's gentle. Holding a bird in your hand is gentleness. What can you come up with as gentleness? What in your world strikes of gentleness? How about kindness? We can be kind. This is who we are. We're trusting, we're gentle, we're kind, we're courageous. Lung and large intestine, courage, lung and large intestine. I breathe in, I let go. I breathe in, I let go. I let go to have it all. If you're holding your breath all the time, you can't get anything back in. But it gives us courage to stand this way, to give this kind of approach to life, as opposed to this bent over, protecting our heart, sad, right? Love and joy, we're loving, we're joyful. You look at a little kid, we start out this way. These are the high five. This comes from, I call it the animating force, source, the universe. Whatever it is, it's creation. It's creation in life. The trees, the birds, the plants, everything is creation and everything exists in the high five. So that's my big thing. You don't see anybody going, oh, high five. It's high five, right? And I still think we can go ahead and go in for high five. Maybe that's our next, as we open up the country again, we should start with high fives. Anyway, but what takes it off course? It's the low five.
Yeah, I want to talk about the low five, and then I have a question for you.
All right. So what blocks the stomach and the spleen is worry, doubt. What blocks the kidney and the bladder is fear. The kidney and bladder lines go up and down the back. That's why we get backaches. What are you afraid of? You ask yourself. So this becomes a detective sort of kind of a detective kind of a look at it. So what we're going to do is, this is the low five, fear, anger, powerlessness, and frustration. This is where we get frustrated or anxiety attacks, and tapping brings us back into gentleness. Sadness and hate and impatience. Even if you're sitting behind a car and you're behind the wheel and you go, gotta get there, I gotta get there. That's impatience. I'll get there because I trust I'll be there when it's supposed to be time. So this gives you a little bit more of a chart here to look deeper into these different feelings.
Well, now I understand the anger part.
Right.
I'm looking at my hand.
Got it right here. We all got it right here. It's either this way or it's this way. Right? I'd like to take just a second and show a little bitty video here, because just a little quick part of it. I know we're going to run out of time. We always do, and
we definitely want to be able to tap.
I want to do a tapping. We're going to do that right after this. We're going to do a power tap.
In fact, your brain is organized
This is
created, not from the known, but from the unknown.
just a little bit of
Most
Joe.
of our thoughts and feelings come from our past experiences. They come from our memories. In fact, your brain is organized to reflect everything you know in your life. Your brain is a record of all the things you've learned and experienced to date. It's an artifact. And when you have an experience, when you're in the midst of an experience, all of your five senses plug you into the external environment. And as your brain is processing all of this vital sensory data, all of that information rushes back to the brain. When it reaches the brain, it causes jungles of neurons to organize themselves into networks, to string into patterns, to reflect their interaction with their external environment. The moment those neurons organize into patterns, the brain makes a chemical, and that chemical is called a feeling or an emotion. And so experiences tend to create more long-term memories because it patterns or stamps or embosses networks of neurons into very specific patterns. And then the emotional quotient helps us to remember the event. So we learn something new intellectually, we also cause networks of neurons to form. I mean, the Nobel Prize laureate Kandel in the year 2000 found that when people learned just one bit of information, they doubled the number of connections in their brain from 1,300 connections to 2,600 connections. So if they didn't review that information or repeat it, the connections are pruned apart. So we know then that learning semantic information begins to organize circuitry in the brain, and experiences enrich the brain. The end product of experience, of course, is the emotion, and it causes us to feel certain ways. You can remember where you were on 9/11. You can tell me who you were with, what time of day it was, what you were doing, because whatever you were seeing in that moment or hearing in that moment changed how you were feeling. And the moment you felt altered or you felt differently, significantly, your brain perked up and you paid attention to whatever caused that. And that event in and of itself is called a memory. So then most of our thoughts and feelings tend to be within the neural circuitry of the past and the emotions of the past chemically. So if you take a thought, thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body. And how you think and how you feel creates a state of being. So if you combine a thought and a feeling, a thought and a feeling, a thought and a feeling, and you have a series of good thoughts that are connected to a series of good feelings, that cycle of thinking and feeling creates what's called an attitude. If you have a series of negative thoughts that are connected to some pretty bad feelings, you'll say I have a pretty bad attitude today. So if how you think and how you feel creates a state of being, then attitudes are just shortened states of being. You feel good.
So wanted you to see a little bit of that so that you at least get an idea, and look up Dr. Joe Dispenza. Many of you know of him already, but it's a good idea to take a look at Joe Dispenza and Dr. Bruce Lipton and start to learn about neurochemistry. And what he said was really key. The emotions and the feelings create a chemical which course through the body. Anger, frustration, worry, grief, and then fear predominantly, especially these days, it's producing cortisol and adrenaline, and we all have heard recently that shuts down the immune system. So the best way to get out of fear is to simply tap. So what I want to do is go through the tapping points, and this is what I call power tapping. Before Julie and I go into a little session, then what I want like you all to do, and do this all the time during the day, because remember, the more you do this, the more you're going to wire, oh, this did feel good. 20 minutes later, it changed I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again.
Bob, when do you tap? I mean, when are the times that we should be tapping? Is it when, we have negative thoughts that come in, that we're not in the state of being that we want to be in? So does that indicate that we should be tapping? Physical pain?
You can tap on anything. You can tap all day long. You can tap when you want to. What we have a tendency to do is to tap when we're experiencing some sort of negative emotion, when we're not feeling good. I could be exhausted, just not feeling good. I could tap, and that power tapping will bring your exhaustion level down to 0, and it'll change everything. And it's so, but we can tap when we're feeling good. So what we're doing is we're enhancing. I love my kitty. I love my granddaughter. Oh man, oh, it's a beautiful day. This is such a gorgeous day. God, I'm feeling good. I love this feeling good. You see what I mean? Rather than, you can also go, nothing, say nothing at all. Or you can say, I'm just done. I'm done. I hate this job. I'm really sick of this. Oh, that uncle of mine's driving me absolutely crazy. I mean, maybe you don't want to do it in front of Uncle Joe, but maybe go find another spot. But it's when we're feeling in a difficult situation, when there's nowhere to go, nothing, no, you're done. You know, what do? When you're flat laying out in the bed and you're not feeling good, whether it be a flu or whether it be you just don't feel good, tap. And then my other one is
have
with
some sort of intention when we're tapping?
nope,
No.
no. And this is why I want to go into what I call power tapping.
Yes.
Power tapping, what I found is that you go to all the EFT classes and you got all these different teachers who are teaching these different ways and these things to say, and I think that confuses everybody. You know, it's all about either the high 5 words or the low 5 words. You're either tapping on worry, fear, anger, grief, or hate, or impatience. That's it. You know, worry, fear, grief, anger, hate, you know, whatever, this hate, this anger, this worry, this grief, and you're tapping on the points. You use one word at a time because you're feeling one thing at a time. You don't have to go through a convoluted thing because it's already in the subconscious. It's already on the conscious screen, on the mind. It's already there. You know, why say anything at all? So that's what I want to give. That's what the biggest thing I want to share with you all is that you don't have to say anything, just tap. Tapping on these points, and you'll see the points here, right? So tapping on tapping on the points, and we'll go through the sequence, and you'll see the top of the head. Now I invite everybody just go ahead and tap. Just take your maybe 2 or 3 fingers and tap on the crown on the top of your head. This is where light enters. You don't need to know that. You don't need to read a book. You don't need to know how you're feeling. You probably already know how you're feeling, right? You're just tapping. So 20 times, this will take 52 seconds on the top of your head. I added this one, you can tap on the brow. People have added different points. You can add the center of the forehead and just tap right at the center of the forehead 20 times. On the eyebrow, right here where the eyebrow comes right close to the nose, not over here, right here, and tap here 20 times. I know everybody's tapping, I can hear you. And just tap.
Hear me.
Now you can stay on one side of the face or the other. All right. It's the energy points are bilateral, so there's one on both sides. If you're really stressed, if you're really torqued out, you can tap both. Oh my God, this sucks. You know, this just really sucks. All right. And then underneath the eye, remember you're hitting each of the meridians. You don't know where this anxiety or this worry or doubt is hidden in your cellular memory along the meridian structure in your body. This is going to hit them all. It's a shotgun approach. And underneath the nose, tapping right underneath the nose. And when you're going back under the eye, it's directly into the pupil, right on the cheekbone. So right on the cheekbone. I use my middle finger because it's got the best thump. I like to hit a little harder. Some people are very yin and they just do a light touch. That's fine. You don't have to do it really hard. Some people say, I'm going to tap dents in my head with this. But no, just tap. Just tap under the nose. Take a breath. Remember, breathing is important. Breathe, let go. Underneath the lower lip, right here, above the chin, below the lip, right here. Just tapping here 20 times or more. You don't have to do it. You can do it more or less. But 20 is a good amount. Collarbone, same side. So right where the clavicle, the bone comes right towards the throat, right on that bone right here. In Jinshin, this is the point number 22. It's the crossroads we come to in life. Which road do we take? The same old, or do something new? We'll talk that in another class. And then the last point is under the arm, about the fourth rib down. Okay, so I can come across with this arm and tap this way on the side 20 times. Or I can use my knuckles and tap here. Okay? You're done. A lot of you will feel differently. Julie, are you a little feedback? Are you feeling anything? Are you calmer? Most people just feel whoo.
I feel good. I feel like I need to do the other side.
Then do it. You feel like it.
I feel good. I mean, we were talking the other day, and I said that, you know, we were talking about, you know, our grandchildren, right? And I said my granddaughter, she, you know, is a bundle of energy and happiness all of the time, you know, and I'd love to harness just a little bit, right, back, like recapture that energy back. You know, why? So why, you know, do kids have so much energy and are so happy, and we get so drained, other than, you know, the obvious of, you know, normal life. But
that's just it.
Can this help us, give us more energy?
When we're born, it depends on the environment that we're born into. Depends on what's going on in the environment when we're in the womb. Same energy. I've tapped with people that brought stuff. You know, a girl once was afraid of spiders, deadly fear of spiders. She was 28.
Yeah, give us a few examples of people that you've helped using this and how they've applied it. A few, Betty, you know Betty at Saybrook Point Inn, she said, boy, I wished I had this the other morning when I had a massive headache. So tell me like some examples of people that you've helped and, you know, differences that you've seen. Also, right now, when we're all going through this massively stressful time, how it can help us.
Okay.
And as Bob is talking, we have about 15 minutes. So if you have questions, put them in the chat so that he can answer them as he just is answering my question.
Okay. So back to your first question, why do children have more energy than we do now? As we get older, the hits that we take, I'll call it the hits that we take in life, in our environment, and they bring us down. They make us old. They, you know, tapping, believe it or not, will actually make you younger. It'll get your energy back to flowing. Because remember, it's all about flow. So flow is, thank you. Flow is all about the meridians flowing, everything flowing perfectly. When a cell is in flow, a cell in the body, the cell wall is open, it receives oxygen, it receives nutrients, it gets rid of excretes, and then it's got little microphages that go in and clean around them and all that good stuff. But when we get into anger, worry, fear, when we get into a tense situation, the cell wall shuts down. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out. Well, if we hold that old betrayal, if we hold that frustration and the situations that we're in, and we hold those, nothing's going on with flow. It's blocked. Tapping helps open the flow. You know, I was going to show another video where it actually does where when we get into disharmony in the body, the cells clump together. It's called rouleau formation, and they move like sludge. Normally, the red blood cells are moving around like this, but when we get tense and whatever, the cells clump together, and we feel, we're exhausted. We get mental fog, brain fog. So every emotion is a cascade of neuropeptides that create a chemical in the body. When we get bathed in that chemical, then the body doesn't do well. Then then something happens, that happens physically in our body. So, for example, we talk about Betty with her headaches, right? Why do I get a headache? Well, you look at the liver and the gallbladder meridian, and they go up and around and cross over the eyes. Notice your eyes get sore. The tension in the back of your head under the occiput. And Jinshin, this is the number 4. This is where 170,000 functions are going every second. Well, if we get this blocked up by trying to control our environment, to control the world that we have when we don't have any, then we short circuit our body. We're not feeling good. A lot of us want to make control, but we don't have any way to. How do we go help the planet? How do we save the world? What a lot of those things do is they make us feel powerless. So you look at any of these things that we see out there, as opposed to right here, right now. Right here, right now is the senses, the 5 senses: sight, sound, touch, smell, feeling. The organ that's the biggest feeling is the skin, and that's about touch. Here we are now, social distancing. We're not touching. That's going to cause a lot of problems with our body and mind. We need to touch. So I recommend, those that hug more, touch more. It'll fill us up a little bit better.
So if we have a headache, should we be tapping on one certain spot, or no? Go
All
through
points.
9 spots.
You tap all the points, because you can say this headache, this sore head, and you may not alleviate it. You might. I've seen headaches go away just like that. You may need to do another round of it. And it's just something about, and you can do both hands, and you can do whatever. But here's another way to look at it too, is that rather than just tapping on this headache, this headache, I got this headache, this sore back, I just don't feel good, this sadness, this grief, this whatever. And you can read about this in the protocols, so you can figure this out a little bit. But, why not take it this way? I choose to have an easy, open mind now. I choose to feel light and perfect in flow now. I choose to feel, and I use the key word choose, because that's where you're telling your subconscious you want to go, and it will take you there. So rather than focusing on this headache, we can simply say, I really love my granddaughter. And so when you go, I love my granddaughter, I love my rabbit, whatever, I love a sunny day. When you're in it, then that chemical, and you're sending that chemical through, that could be as powerful as tapping on the low 5.
Right.
Raising your vibration to a higher consciousness, of love.
Is that programming, like a little bit more positivity?
Yeah, but it's chemicals. It's positive chemicals. Remember, every word, fear and anger, have a low vibe chemical. Love and gentleness have a high vibe feel. We want high vibe because that's who we are.
Right.
We are the high 5. You can use those words alone. I choose to feel loving now. I choose to feel that the Creator is filling me with love and life now. So using those words and just tapping with words. Now that's using this. We've segued off of just power tapping, because I power tap most of the time. That's most of my tapping is power tapping, unless I'm into a real issue of it was like when I was going through that situation, yesterday, and it was intense, whoa, off the chart. I didn't go this anger, this word. I was like, no way. I can't go grab a word.
Just power tapping.
Tapping.
Right.
Tapping. And I just invite you to
Question, Bob, have you heard of energy medicine yoga, which integrates EFT? One of our viewers asked.
I, um, yeah, Energy Medicine was a really great book written way back when, and it incorporated a lot of things. Energy Medicine is a great, is a large body of material. But energy medicine with yoga, what that's saying is when you're in warrior pose, you're stretching the meridians. When you're in yoga, when you're in now, you're in the senses, the five senses. I can feel my body. I'm in flow. I'm in harmony. I'm not thinking about the dog after me down the street or the policeman outside the door or whatever. We get distracted by all this stuff.
Right.
That's what makes us old. We come back into our center and we do warrior pose and we breathe. Breath is really wonderful because it facilitates, on the inhale, we build. On the exhale, we clean. So when you do breath of fire, we're building, cleaning, right? So when we're in posture, we're stretching certain yoga postures, certain meridians in those postures, some more than others. So you're focusing on a meridian. You probably look up yoga meridians and really get a good clue as to what the yoga asana is when you're doing that, so that you can go, oh, okay, I'm working on my gentleness. I am gentle, and then be gentle. And
Yeah, Kim mentioned energymedicineyoga.net. So I think Kim might practice this type of yoga.
it's a beautiful thing. When I do quantum stretch, it's about the same type of thing. And
Right.
then you can do what's called flow as you're moving with stretch and you're doing energy. And it's the same as Qigong or Tai Chi.
Right.
You're moving and you're in the center and you're in the sense of love and gentleness and trust, or nothing at all.
Does anybody have any questions in the chat? If you don't want everyone to see, you can hit on directing the question just to me or to support. It's support at JM Pankey. If you have any questions that apply to you specifically that you want to ask Bob, please take the time to do so. I wanted to ask Bob, so if we are having a bout of low five, high five, low five, high five.
Always.
Right now, right, we're isolated. Some days we feel like we can conquer the world, and other days we feel like we might just not want to get out of bed. When are the times that we should be tapping? I mean, do we tap before we get out of bed? Do we tap when we go to sleep at night?
Yes.
When I wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning and can't go.
Absolutely. That's one of my things is I do tap in the morning and then I do a main central, many mornings I do that, and I just power tap. I don't think anything. I might think of my relation to the universe or whatever it is, and love, trust, gentleness, kindness, whatever comes up, make it high five. And, and certainly, and this is one of my keys, when you take my other class, I'll teach you how to get a better night's sleep. Because what happens a lot of the time is we go to sleep and we do pretty good until about midnight. So between midnight and 4 o'clock is when the liver and the gallbladder meridian kick in. So the predominant is called the clock in the five elements. And so we wake up from the day before with our frustration, our angers, and our feeling powerlessness. We wake up, our mind starts going. So rather than laying in bed and you're going to lay there for hours and you go, I'm trying to get to sleep. What you do, this is what I do, is real quickly, is that I get out of bed. If I'm laying there 15 minutes, I get out of bed. I do some stretching, maybe a little yoga, a little breathing. I do some tapping. Maybe there's a bigger issue at hand and I want to tap on that directly. So I tap and then might have some cereal or something like that because I'm busy the stomach. So the stomach has to take charge now. So you're redirecting energy. I call this a pattern interrupt. You're just going to lay there. Your pattern is running along the same way. So tapping in a way is a pattern interrupt. It changes everything so that you can now start new. Then when I go lay back down again, you think, oh, I'm going to be like wide awake. There's the key. This one I learned, and this is part of EFT, only when you're working with somebody with a very difficult situation, it's called the 9 gamut. But in a part of that, it's brain gym. And so what you do is you lay back and you first act like a sleeping person. So you're going to breathe right, like go, whatever. And so then what you do is you count to 10 in your mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then hum a song. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hum and count, hum and count, hum and count. You'll see thoughts coming and going. Come back to the humming and the counting. You'll forget if you were counting or humming. Come back to the counting, and then you'll watch yourself. You'll see a hypnagogic trance of visions come across, and then you're gone. It's the best.
Do you have to hum out loud?
No, hum in your mind.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I was just thinking I might strangle my husband if I tell him this technique. And tonight I hear him humming in bed at 2 a.m. So I can hum in my mind. So I think that's good. And I know I have a mental exercise that I do to help me go back to sleep as well. A question here is, Betty asks that she does a circle of caring for her team members every night. So I believe Betty had told me that it's an email that she sends to all her team because remember, the hotel's closed down, so there's no contact with each other. Do you have any videos, or can she use any of this material to send to her team as part of their circle of caring? Can she share the stuff that you shared with us?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, please, the free PDF that came with this, please share it. And if anybody wants me to do a webinar with their group, I'm glad to do that. And we can take it in different directions. Yeah, no problem. But I want people to become teachers of this. I want you to teach your children, teach your friends. I work with construction workers and nuns and, people from all different walks of life. And the thing about the high five is that it's not a certain religion. It's not, it just goes across all boundaries. I don't care who you are. We're all on this planet, trusting and gentle and kind and courageous. And that's what we need to be bringing out, not the fear and the anger and the, you did this and we're going to do that. That we're all, and by the way, we're all changing right now. We're going through a shift.
Right.
It's all part of it is to come inside ourselves, figure out some techniques that we can use and some understanding so that we can love each other and not be afraid of each other, across the globe. Let our immune systems take effect.
I love that.
Anything in our body, anything in our mind, as long as we're holding the high five.
I love that, Bob, because think about it, and we're at 4 o'clock, so we want to respect everyone's time. I know we could go on, and we can have Bob tap with us for a long time, but just imagine what kind of world we would live in if we all focused on the high five. That's what we're about here in the Spa Hive. This is what we want to bring to you, is to hold the high five, love, trust, gentleness, kindness. What did I miss?
Courage.
Courage, of course.
Have the courage to stand up in the face of incongruity.
I love it. So thank you. We're grateful to everyone that has joined us today. We're thankful for Bob, who we love. If you've been to a Spa Hive event, you've met him. Some of you have taken his classes. He teaches all over. I want to remind you, if you don't follow the Spa Hive, we do have a private Facebook group that's complimentary, so you can go ahead. Marianne will put the link there, but it's Spa Hive Community on Facebook. As well, if you want to join any other webinars, every Monday at 3 o'clock we do a webinar, and every Thursday we do a coffee chat. This week our coffee chat is at 10:30. If you follow us on Facebook, which is JM Pankey Partners, you can see what we're going to be talking about each week. To continue what Bob started this week is in the coffee chat. This is where we actually can see each other. We'll all be Brady Bunch-like screens so we can mastermind with each other. And we're going to talk about self-care. So let's take this one step further and see what's been working for us, what hasn't been working for us, share what's been working for you with the others that are in the Spa Hive so that we can help each other grow and expand, and always reach the high five.
Good.
Thank you, Bob, so much for being with us.
Thank you all very much. Go do it.
Bye.